All right. Oh, let me turn the camera around. All right, back again, brothers. Just talk to him. He's going to be joining us in a little bit. What's up, guys? What's up, Aaron? What up, DLC? What's up, Jose? What up, Caesar? Do work 11. Hello, how's it going? Just waiting for Ron again. So here we go. Nice. We got him. We got him. We got him. We got him. Hopefully we get to a split screen pretty soon. All right. All right, guys, coming back. Sorry, just had to get my coffee. Yeah. Here we go. Going live with Papa Pitts. We're going live. Hey, there we go, Mr. Ramos.
How's it going? Good, man.
Right on. Right on. We got some people here now. Beautiful. How's your day going?
Good. You know, I'm on babysitting duty right now. I come and help my son watch my granddaughter, so I really enjoy that.
Oh, nice. Nice. You have a lot of grandchildren?
Actually, I don't, man. I only have 4 grandchildren. You know, I have a daughter that's giving me 3 grandbabies and one son that has 1 grandbaby, but the other 2 boys aren't married, and they don't want to. They're not in any rush to get married to have children.
No, I understand. I get it. I got a couple kids of my own, so I get it for sure. Right on, Mr. Ramos. So this is episode 3, guys, of Bullies and Breeders, and we got the honorable judge and breeder, Mr. Ron Ramos. So Ron, so there's your introduction. So
There you go.
what we're gonna do is we talked the other day, and I got some info on you, and now I've compiled a bunch of questions together, and you ready?
Yeah, sure.
All right. So first off, I want you to talk about we started our conversation on your beginnings, on where you started from, on with we're talking about growing up in a small town, when you started with American Pit Bull Terriers. It looks like back in 1984, was it?
Yeah, but actually, 1983, when I first started doing serious breedings, you know, I started doing breedings.
Okay. And you started with the American Pit Bull Terrier, right?
Yes, I did. I started with American Pit Bull. As a matter of fact, my first dog was a UKC registered American Pit Bull Terrier. And then from there, I acquired a couple of ADBA style Pit Bulls, which is more gamey, more leaner, more terrier type dogs. And I really enjoyed that. And in 1997, I started showing dogs. I had an amazing mentor, Patty Allen, God rest her soul. You know, she was an amazing lady, and she took me under her wing, and she's the one that taught me how to show dogs and so forth. And I spent hours with her because I was just so thirsty for knowledge, and I felt so blessed to have this woman in my corner to help me and teach me. And from there, I went into the AKC, and again, I acquired more mentors there. Greg Connor was one of my mentors, a few other people, and that's where I really learned how to show dogs and groom dogs, even how to prepare them for shows. Since it was not just, you know, take the dog out of the crate, put them in the show ring. They do a lot of grooming. I mean, they really do their work to prepare a dog for the show. You know, that's why those colors look so white and the red looks so red, because they actually put chalk, they call it, but it's actually like almost like like the way a woman puts on blush. It's like a powder coat, but it's colored. And I started doing that, and I was blessed to be successful on all those. And then from there, I went into the American Bully. That was about that was like 2002, 2003 when I started getting into the Bullies.
Okay. So when you were in the AKC and whatnot, were you a judge back then for the AKC?
No, I wasn't. I was just a participant. I was just a handler. That's where I learned how to handle dogs. That's where I really perfected my skills in handling dogs, was in the AKC. I did it for years in the UKC, but it isn't as intense or as competitive as in the AKC. The AKC was very, very competitive. I mean, to learn how to do certain things, you had to like really pry on people, man, to give you any kind of showing tips, because they don't want you to beat them. So they were very cautious about what they showed you, because they wanted to remain on top, because like I said, AKC handlers make a lot of money. So with that being said, I ended up finding a couple of good people that were willing to help me, and I learned a lot. So that's when I really got really proficient in showing dogs.
Nice. So now we're on the timeline where you're handling dogs for the AKC, and then you're asked to be the director of judges under the ABKC for the ABKC to judge the American Bullies. Because I remember you from back in the day. I mean, from the first shows I went to, and I know that you've actually. If I could ask you this one, how many judges you could say, just throw out a number that you have with to make them better judges? And
oh my God, yeah, usually that's. I wish I had a number, but at one time, like I said before, at one point in time, when I started with the ABKC in 2003, 2004, right there. Again, like you said, they asked me to come in and help be the director of judges for them. And we established a lot of the foundation of what the ABKC is today. The code of ethics for judges. The test to become a judge, the requirements. These were all things that I helped establish. I didn't do it alone. I will never take the credit for that. It was given to a committee, and we all reviewed it and got the final okays, and that's when we moved forward. And that all started happening, like I said, that was basically 2004. And at that point in time, we started a mentorship that was part of the requirements to become a judge. And at one point in time, I probably had a hand in training probably 95% of the judges globally. But ever since then, I'm not participating with them right now. But so there's a lot of judges now that I didn't really have a hand in helping, but at one point in time, it was a high number. It was quite a few judges that I got in there, and I actually trained and helped to become the judges.
Nice. So basically, you groomed all the first judges that were judging American Bullies.
I did. I really did. It was something I really enjoyed. I've always been a mentor, a coach. I used to coach football. I coached baseball back in the day, and I've always did stuff like that. So. It felt at home when I got to go in there and help train and teach judges. And even today, I still do some mentoring that people that are seeking knowledge to become judges. In fact, I had this, I believe they're called Hemi Kennels. I can't remember the full name of them. They're in the Bay Area, and they have asked me to take their son and their daughter, and they're very young, and they want me to start training them to be judges, because they're being asked to judge shows. So it's one of the things where I feel blessed that I get to help the young people as well.
Nice. So you're still grooming judges?
I still am. Those that come seeking the information and help, I still do that. I still help them, and I think we need to continue that as far as preparing judges. There's too many judges right now that are out there that are not really have the seasoning, of years of handling dogs, or even for that matter shows, and they come in and they make these guys judges. And nothing against them, because anytime somebody asks you to be a judge, it's an honor and a privilege, because that's your community. Your peers are asking you, will you please evaluate my dog? So, believe it or not, when they come to you like that, do it with respect because they look at you as somebody that is knowledgeable and they want you to be a part of that. So it's one of those things where if you ever ask to be a judge, I mean, by all means, take it seriously. I mean, enjoy yourself, but in the same token, learn your craft. That way you're not disappointing the people or yourself or for that matter, making a fool of yourself. So it's very important that you understand all the principles and, structure of animals and grow yourself. You know what I'm saying? So I think being a judge, honestly, God truth is a lot of people think that it's they're gifted to it, and it's not. It's a privilege. You don't own the job. It's because your peers respect you and they want you to evaluate their dogs.
Perfect. And I mean, what truer words to becoming a judge than getting the honor to evaluating somebody's work, right? Somebody's production.
Exactly, especially when they're asking you this. So that means that they're giving you respect, and you're obligated to polish your skills to not disappoint them. You know what I'm saying? It's not only that, but not to disappoint yourself.
Okay, nice. So I got a good question for you. Out of all these judges you have groomed, can you say there's one pupil that one judge that you say, look, he achieved more than what I expected of him. He followed my guidelines,
Well,
and this
you know
is
something, man. That's an honorable question, but I will say this: I won't answer that for the fact of the matter that I don't want to hurt a judge's feelings or make other judges feel that they're being singled out. You know what I'm saying? And not what I mean by not singled out, but the ones that feel like, well, how come I didn't make that list? So I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and it wouldn't be fair to all the other judges. So I will refrain from answering that question.
But did you have somebody in the back of your head though?
There's been some really good people, man, and it's not just one. There's been multiples. You know what I'm saying? There's been people that work. There's people that I've actually, mentored to their success today, as far as multiple registers. Not just the ABKC, but UKC and the many other registries. There's WBA. There's a lot of them, and there's a lot of guys in there that I had the opportunity to give them a little tip here and there to help them. And there's been other people that have left the dogs, and I found them and brought them back in, and now they're very successful. I asked them, the community needs you. You need to come back. So when they came back in, some of them came back in as right off the bat as judges, but they had a lot of skills. Though, they just didn't come in. I try to search out people that have had years of showing dogs behind them, or good breeders, and sometimes it's a difficult task, to find those people, and it's not the point of just, it's the point where if I'm going to put my name behind this person, I want to make sure that they're going to qualify to do a great job. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you recommend somebody for a job and he goes to work and he shows up late and doesn't do the job, or maybe it's a reflection on you. So I always try to do my best at trying to get people that I felt were like, honestly, got you really great breeders. And it's more than just being a breeder or understanding the structure, which they're both key components of being a judge. But another key component is I used to train a lot of guys I called it delivering the message. And what I mean by that is anybody can be a judge, but sometimes you got to understand how to tell these people that their dog is not really show material, or you need to polish your skills, and you got to do this gracefully without humiliating or making somebody feel inadequate. So it takes a real skill in communication to tell these people that anybody can go in there and say, well, your dog's a piece of shit, and you can hurt that person's feelings. It's like telling them, hey, your kid is ugly. They don't want to hear that stuff. The worst thing you want to do is make somebody feel that way. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, you tell them this, hey, the dog is lacking this, or everybody tells a generic, oh, your dog's too fat. That's not an answer. You guys listen. Your dog's a little heavy. I think you need to put a little road work on, exercise them, work your skills more, stacking and stuff. There's a way to tell these people, and when you do it properly, they'll walk away warm and fuzzy. It's very important to make them feel good, because if you discourage these people, they're never going to come back to the ring. And guess what? You're not going to judge any more shows, because everybody's going to say, "Well, I don't want to go with this guy. You know, he's rude, he's mean, and I don't want to do anything with him." And there's judges that have had this situation that they say, "Well, I'm going to be honest and I'm going to be raw." So okay, well, go ahead. You know, and then they're not working no more because nobody wants them, because they're just obnoxious. So it's very important that you, when you mentor people, that or I call mentoring, but it's judging, is that you're very, eloquent and respectful when you critique and help people. I have a saying that says, "A sharp tongue never taught a lesson."
Ooh,
You know,
like that.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? Because if you make somebody feel belittled or small or embarrassed, you just ruin that relationship, and you ruin that person. So it's very important that you guide and you build these people up. And I learned that from coaching football. We said when I was coaching football, we used to tell them, it's okay to tear them down, but build them back up before you let them go. So if I got a football player and he did something wrong, I would jump on his ass hard. But at the end of the day, I said, you got to understand, man, I have so much respect for your qualities that, I don't think you understand that you have these qualities. And I try to pump them back up before I let them go back and practice again. And it worked for years. I mean, I have players to this day that will still seek me out, talk to me. It's one of those things where it's okay to be, critical, but don't leave it just on that. Make sure that you give them something to work on, because they want to be taught. They want to learn. They want to understand their shortcomings. But the thing is, you got to make sure that you tell them that, but then tell them, you have the skills, you have the passion. Don't stop doing what you're doing. I've had people that were lost in the ring with me, and I see their very disappointed face, and I'll walk over to them and I'll talk to them. This past weekend, I was in Dunkirk, New York, and there was a young lady there. She had to be like 12 years old, right? And she won a couple times, and a couple times she didn't win, and she walked away very disappointed. So when I had a break, I walked over to her booth and I told the young lady, I said, "Don't be disappointed. You have great skills, and your disappointment is not a bad thing. You just got to control it, because your competitiveness you want to be a winner, and I respect and I admire that. But the thing is, there's going to be times where you're going to lose, so don't be hurt about it. Take it as a lesson and improve yourself." These are the type of things I do at shows. I walked out of the ring and talked to this little girl when I had a break. And I do the same with the adults. I had a gentleman one time at a show, and he had a beautiful tricolor dog. And I did the inspection on the dog, and he was clip orchid. And clip orchid meaning that the dog had one testicle. And in the show ring, the dog has to have two testicles. It has to be a complete dog. So when I told the gentleman this, I didn't tell him in front of everybody. I stopped him in the middle of the ring. He was doing his down and back. And I stopped him in the middle of the ring, and I told him, "Listen, I'm supposed to disqualify you because your dog has one testicle. But I'm not going to do that here. I'm not here to embarrass you. I'm here to help you grow and become a better handler, a better dog owner, a better breeder." Well, in the middle of the ring, this guy, I swear to you, man, tears start coming out of his eyes. And I'm like, "Oh, shit, man." You know what I'm saying? And I felt really bad, right? And I told him, I said, "Don't feel bad, man, because, I'm here to help you. Here's my number. Call me, whatever it may be." Well, I told the guy, "Listen, that dog's beautiful. Get him fixed and put him in the altered class." They used to have an altered class. I don't think they still have it, but they don't. A lot of people don't get into it. Right. And basically, an altered class is a dog that's been, fixed.
Right.
And I see the guy a year later, and he comes up to me and goes, "I want to thank you so much." He goes, "I took the dog in the altered class. He became a champion, and I kept moving forward. And it was your words of encouragement that helped me become, a better handler and breeder." And he's still doing it to this day. And those are the kind of stories I like to tell, because there was great disappointment, but he didn't take it to heart, where the point where he says, "I'm never going to do this again," because I didn't want him to do that. I told him, I said, "Don't quit on me, man, because your passion shows in the way your emotions are. So work at it. I'm here to help you." So he ended up doing really well, and this is the importance of a judge. Anybody can be taught to hand out ribbons. You can teach a monkey to hand ribbons out. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But the thing is, being a judge is more than just handing ribbons out. It's being a mentor, somebody that's going to, encourage, teach, and be open. And I'm the type of guy that, I tell them, go to my, I'm on social media. If I can help you in any way, inbox me. And there's few people that come to me, and I'll give them my number, and we'll talk, and we'll get things right. You know what I'm saying? And I even do private handling lessons, and I've had people that already handlers, and they come to me for handling lessons. And when I do those people, it's not really for, I'm not teaching them because they don't know how to handle dogs. What I'm doing is I'm polishing their skills. I'm seeing the things, I'm seeing the small things that they might have missed, the way they present the dog or not. And I will tell them this, try it this way now and do this and give the judge this look and this, that. You know? So I'm basically polishing their skills. I've had people come from Mexico for me to give them handling lessons. One of them was Ivan Toro. He drove all the way from Mexico. I mean, the guy was, I couldn't believe it, man. He drove all the way to my place. We did the handling lessons, packed the dog, and went straight home back to Mexico. And he was a happy camper, everything.
Wow.
Yeah, there was another guy, I don't remember his name now, oh God, but he was on the East Coast, and he says, will you help me out with my dog? I says, sure, so he came out 2 days before the Nationals, and we worked with the dog. I told him what he was doing wrong and how to do what he had to do, to do this, do that, how he was presenting the dog. The dog won the Nationals. The dog name was Austin Martin. That dog won
Yeah.
the Nationals. And the guy came to me 2 days before the show so I could give him a little polishing up of his skills. I wasn't showing dogs at that show. I mean, I wasn't judging, so it was not a conflict of interest. So I had nothing to do with the judging at that show.
Okay.
And in fact, at that show, I had a female, which is owned by Jamie Villagomez, which is Cookie, and Cookie won Best Straw Rock Classic and that Nationals as well. And there's another great example. Jamie's an awesome person. She's actually one of the people that I've mentored, and she's now just became a judge, and I have high expectations of her.
Yeah.
I think she's gonna be a great judge, But she had handled dogs all her life, and she asked me to kind of critique her with Cookie, and she would send me videos of her, working the dog, stacking it, and gating it, and I would give her the little pointers. And this woman is a seasoned handler, AKC handler. She knows her stuff, man. So, but she wanted somebody on the outside, that's gonna be biased and help her out. So we did it, and she's done very well, man. Like I said, I can't take nothing away from her. All I do is so it's one of those things where, again, I have people say, well, I don't need handling lessons, right? But that's fine. But there are people that do this and they advance even further. And I'm not saying I'm the only guy to give handling lessons. There's other people. I will give you another person that I feel that I admire that is constantly perfecting their craft, and that's Hannah Abbott. Hannah is a very good handler. But guess what? Hannah still goes to handling lessons. She doesn't need them, but that's how driven she is, and how the type of work she wants to. She wants to be the best at her craft, and she still goes to handling lessons.
Oh,
So you never stop learning, man. And it's like being in sports. You want to be a great team, you practice all week long just to play one game. You know what I'm saying? And you continue to practice off season, during season. So these people I admire and respect because, like I said, they take their craft very seriously.
and we're talking about Hannah. Isn't that Zero's handler?
Yes, sir. That's Zero's handler. Her and Jim, I've known them for years, man. I've known them for eons, man. In fact, I was one of my last judges that I mentored into the ABKC was Jim Nava. He was one of the last guys I did, and he's another very well seasoned judge. But these are the things that you need to do as a judge, and especially if you're going to give them the title as a senior judge or something above, where your status is at. That you got to share your knowledge and teach. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And I understand what you were saying beforehand about not breaking a handler or a breeder down on their production. I got a side story. It's a very famous female judge, and this was years ago. We're talking, she's about I don't know, 10 years ago or something. Had dog her, and it's the same dog that you critiqued over here in the Imperial Valley during the show, and you told me straight out, it's you did it very professional. The dog looks really nice, but it was he had a straight rear end, but then you brought it back to the dog's very nice, and you talked about the good features. when I was in front of this other judge, she saw the, she gave out the ribbons, straight out told me, hey, you don't want to go exchange your dog? And I said, what do you mean? This was my first show. I was like,
You're breaking up a little bit, AJ.
huh?
You're breaking up
What's that?
a little bit.
Oh, okay. Let me get this closer. Can you hear me now?
There you go.
Okay. So when she told me, do I want to exchange my dog? Do I have another dog that I could bring in? And I told her, no, this is my stud. And she just went down the whole line of everything that was wrong with that dog. I was probably in front of her for a couple of minutes just hearing why my dog shouldn't be in the show ring. And then went on to go do something else, and it really it bummed me out. So
Yeah, it stings, again, that's the thing. You break somebody down. I've told many people, I've literally told them, your dog does not belong in the show ring. But I will make the statement that he has certain attributes that are good. But if you really want to continue showing, it's very important to get the proper dog and proper training. I don't want you to stop doing this because of your passion. This is exactly what you said, and that's what I told the guy. You're passionate. Don't stop, man. I'll help you. You know what I'm saying? So it's a sad situation, and in the beginning years, there was a lot of judges were like that, and there still are today. The judges that they'll tear you down, but they won't leave you with nothing to take home and work on. You know what I'm saying?
right,
Give them homework, man. Give them homework.
right. Give them some kind of a light down the end of the tunnel to
Right, exactly.
come back to, for sure. And then so staying on this on building judges, what would you say somebody like prerequisites or what credentials or accomplishments would you say somebody needs to?
No sound. No sound. Can't hear it.
You can't hear me? Can you?
There you go.
Okay.
There was for there. There was no sound at all.
Okay. Can you hear me now though?
I got you.
Okay. So the question was, what would you say Ron Ramos is? What does somebody need in Ron Ramos's head?
No sound again. No sound.
Can you hear me now?
Got you.
Okay.
Yeah, you keep you there's no sound for several minutes, so it just I don't know what's going on, but try not to move away from that Obama phone.
No, I think somebody's turning on my headphones. To be honest, I turn on my
Okay.
Bluetooth and okay. So third time, here goes the question.
I got the question. I don't know if everybody else got it, so go ahead and repeat it for everybody else, and then I'll answer.
Okay. So the question is, in Ron Ramos's head, in your mind, what does somebody need? What kind of accomplishments or credentials or whatnot would you say that would qualify somebody to be a quality judge?
Like I said, I was one of the persons that helped write the requirements to become a judge for the ABKC. And to this day, I think those are very valuable points as far as wanting to be a judge. And that was having a minimum of 4 years in the breed, and
Okay.
that's also showing. And you have to have championed out 4 dogs. Total of 5 dogs, but one had to be a bred by. And people ask me, why would it have to be a bred by? That goes to show you that you know how to breed a champion dog. And the other thing, the reason that I tell them that they have to have, yeah. So the other thing is that they have to have handled dogs, because there's a lot of people that have champion dogs that pay handlers. They have no handling skills. So how you expect to be a judge and somebody comes up to you, well, how can I improve my game if you never handled a dog? So it's one of those things where it's important that you have learned how to handle, learned how to breed, and the other thing is understanding structure and movement of dogs. And a lot of people don't understand that some of this takes time. A lot of people right now are being judges overnight, and they honestly don't understand movement or structure. They have a knowledge of terms. They may tell you, oh well, the stifle, but do they understand what the stifle is, what it does, and stuff? So and not only that, but you have to be a self-motivated person that you're going to want to take the time on your own time and do the research to study what is movement, the different parts of the body of the dog, Don't be afraid to search out people that will help you get those answers if you don't have the answers. You can do anything right now with media. YouTube's got great videos. There's a lot of information out there that you can get and learn. But the thing is, you have to be probably the most key important thing is self-motivated to learn. Because if you want to be judging, you want to put in the work, you're never going to improve your skills. But in the same token, there's a lot of book smart guys that are not very good readers or very good judges. And there's a lot of people that are not book smart, but they have years of experience as far as reading and handling. So it's one of those things where it's all on you. It depends on how bad you want this. And the other thing is great communication skills. It's very important because you can have a lot of people come talk to you. And I think that's been probably one of the things that have given me the longevity as a judge, because I've probably been judging probably longer than most people in the ABKC or the other registries, the other many big registries, is that my approach to people. I try to make them feel good about themselves. I don't want to discourage them. I've had people that have treated me disrespectfully, and they go in the ring and they'll win under me, and they're like blown away because I thought I was going to get a win because I told Ron some shit or something, and that's once you step in that ring, I'm judging the dog. The difference between me and you, I could care less. My job is strictly to pick the best dog of the day. One of my mantras was, the dogs I champion today will be the breeding stock of tomorrow. So this is one of those things where it's a very important situation when you want to start judging stuff, that you're picking quality dogs. Because if you're putting up poor quality dogs, you're ruining the breed. You're setting the breed back years.
Right.
Because, people will breed to that dog. And especially someone of my stature in the community, I have to be very, very, strict about what is supposed to be a win and what is not supposed to be a winning dog. And like I told you in our conversations prior to this, it's one of those things where when I came into the bully community, the AKC and UKC people frowned upon me, and they were saying, well, what are you doing, Ron? These guys breed screwed up dogs. They're messed up. They're no good. So I told them, I said, I'm going to take a proactive stance, and I'm going to step in the ring, and I'm going to guide them. I'm going to give them knowledge. I'm going to share with them. I could stand on the sidelines and throw rocks all day long at them, but we're not helping the community, and we're not going to stop them. And look at where the American Bully is today. It's one of the biggest registries there is. It's the most popular dog in the world. Right. And so, and now I've stepped into helping some of the exotic rings. And ironically, the bully people are saying, Ron, what are you doing? These guys are breeding screwed up dogs. They're here. They're giving me the same story that they gave to them from the AKC, UKC days. So when I step in the ring, I want people to understand that I'm there to help and educate. Again, I have people throw rocks at me, saying, oh, you're screwing up. I'm not going to say anything in particular, but there's a guy that does videos about me and talks about me, and other people will, talk bad about me. And it's expected with where I'm at in my field. With success comes the people that are envious.
Right.
So it's one of those things. So it's one of those things where, and they feed people the wrong information. So like I said, what I do, when I'm doing some of the exotics, I'm going there to help these guys. I want them to do with the best dogs possible, even though they're exotic. Again, I did the same thing with American Bully when I came to American Bully. They'll never learn if somebody doesn't step in and say, hey, listen, you guys, this is inappropriate, or you're going too far here. You know what I'm saying? And if you and there's a way to do it. Again, delivering the message. There's a way to do it without hurting people's feelings, and you're not going to win everybody over. But the thing is, if you come in and you say, I feel like it's like Sodom and Gomorrah. When God told, I think it was Job, to go find me 500 righteous men. He goes, well, that's a lot. He goes, well, at the end, God said, find me 5. So when I go to shows, if I can find 3 people that I can, make them understand what I'm doing, I'm a happy camper. I succeeded.
Right.
But the thing is, though, it's again, as far as the judging aspect of the dog world, I take it very seriously, and there's no favoritism, there's no family, there's no compas, my buddies. When I step in the ring, it's strictly business, and that's what I'm there for. I'm there to select the best dog possible. I'm saying.
Perfect answer. So, Now I want to jump over to you judging nationals and the dogs you picked.
Yes, sir.
So when you were in Atlanta, in Atlanta, which dog won nationals? Which dog did you pick? Because I got the three here.
Uh,
Don't
yeah,
know.
I believe that time it was Denzel. I picked Denzel for the national winner. At that time, he was at that point in time of the evolution of the dog. He
Uh-huh.
was to me, he was one of the better specimens for the American Bully. So that was my selection in Atlanta, and that's been like I can't even remember the dates, man. Whew, been a long
Was
time.
that your first national show?
That was
With
my first national show that no, I take that back. My first national show was the one I believe in Los Angeles when I picked King Kamali.
King Kamali.
Yeah, King Kamali, I gave him his national win. And these shows then, I mean, the venue where they had the national in LA, well, I think it was a forum. I can't remember exactly where it was at. But the place was packed, man. It was elbow to elbow. I mean, there was no room to even walk. It was so packed. And I remember this so vividly because uh, they had like a balcony all the way around the arena, and there was my wife walked over and goes, "Hey, do you see what's going on?" I said, "No, I'm focused on the dogs." And then he goes, "Well, on top of that balcony, there was like an army of police officers and gang enforcement, and they were blown away because this show was held in the central part of LA, and they were amazed that with all the different gang infractions that there was not a single incident. These guys came
Ooh,
just for the passion of the dogs, and I'm talking about every gang you can imagine in LA was there, and there was not a single incident, not a bad eye towards the guy, a cuss word, nothing. They were there for the passion of the dogs, and it blew my mind, man, that these guys would put all their differences aside just to go to a show and show their bullies. That's how powerful this breed has been.
that is a big statement. Because I've been to a lot of Raider games with a lot of guys from LA, and they don't they got no manners.
There's no holding back, you see.
There's no holding back there. So if a lot of gang members in LA can keep it cool for a dog, I mean that's
Oh
pretty
man,
big, right?
I swear to God, it was like I said, the police were even impressed. They were like, "Wow," you know what I'm saying. And then when I did the show in Atlanta, believe it or not,
Mm-hmm.
uh, that show I judged in a single day at that time. I believe it was 335
Wow.
dogs. Yeah, yeah, and that was it was for a long day, man. But I'll tell you what, though, man, I guess through my years of coaching football, when I get to the big games, I mean, I get like hyped up. I get, I mean, like I'm ready to go. You know what I'm saying? So when I did that show, I had that same feeling. So it felt like I belonged here. You know what I'm saying? I fit. You know what I'm saying? And I wasn't intimidated. I wasn't nervous, and I felt like, oh shit, this is game day. Let's go, baby. I was like, I felt great about it. So I walked in the ring, and I think that's the other thing about being a good judge is having confidence in your ability and in your eyesight that you're going to pick the right dogs. And I will tell you this, I'll share this with you guys. Even when I go into any show ring, big or small, I always say a prayer and ask God to give me the vision to select the best dog that day. Me and my wife, a little corner, we sit there and we hold my hand and we say a real quick prayer for God to guide me and help me pick the right dog. And I'm not pushing God on, but I'm just saying what I do. You know what I'm saying?
No, you're right. Right. Well, how Ron Ramos prepares to get in the ring.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So I like I said, I take it very seriously, man.
Nice. Nice. And then there was one more national winner you picked in
Oh God, I
Louisiana.
remember. Oh, Axel. Axel was another. That's another dog that I thought he was a very nice animal. There was a lot. I tell you, that show there was a lot of nice dogs, man. Um, you know, when you judge a show like a national, uh, trust me, there's probably at least 5 dogs you could pick that can win a national.
Right.
But it's up to you. It's up to you to split hairs and refine your selection to get the best dog possible that represents the written standard of the breed. So it was one of those things where I thought the animal was really nice. To this day, I really like Axel's look and thing. He's got a real specific, he's got something special about him and thing. Uh, and that was another huge show. Um, I've we touched on this earlier. I've probably judged 3 complete national shows. I've judged for the big registry. I did a couple of them with him. I had to fill in till the judge got there late, so I can't say I judged more than the three, but I was participating at least four nationals, and then I did nationals for many other registries. In fact, the show that I did this weekend in Dunkirk, New York, was the national for that registry. So I've been blessed that I've done those nationals. I've done huge prestigious shows in globally. Italy, I've done big shows. South America, Thailand, many countries. Philippines, I've done some really big major shows. Uh, and like I said, I feel so blessed by my community that I feel sometimes that when I say thank you, it's such a small word because
Ooh.
I don't think people understand how much I am so grateful to these people in the dog world. I mean, it makes me even emotional because that's how much I respect and admire the people that have given me the opportunity to travel the world. And it's been the dog people, the dog breeders. I told you before, I come from a little tiny town, and the town is like, it's doubled in size, 1,600 people. You know, it, that's one block of LA or something, but it's just tiny town. And I would have never dreamt that I would be traveling the world judging. So it's one of those things where it's been honest to God with this. I still pinch myself. It's like a dream because I can't believe that riding camels at the pyramids in Egypt because of the dogs. Hang gliding in Brazil because of the people and the dogs. Going down there. There's a lot of things I did that I would have never ever dreamt about doing, and it's due to the people in this community. So I'm very grateful, man.
That's nice. Nice. I remember when we were talking, you were telling me that you've been to 24 countries.
Yeah,
Uh,
about 24 different countries globally. I mean, that's just from I've been to. I'll give an example. They flew me into Guam to do a show, and I don't know Guam. I don't know which is the smaller. I did a show in Guam, and I did one in Trinidad and Tobago. And Trinidad and Tobago is in the Caribbean,
right.
But I know for a fact that Guam, that it's an island, and it's 36 miles long, 11 miles wide. And they flew me to do a show there, man. I said, I'm gonna tell you, I'm like, man, where are these people? Because it's expensive, man. Say, how do these guys do it? But they have sponsors that help them. But again, it's something that I wish I could give everybody a hug that's ever been around me in the dog world because it's been an amazing journey, man.
Right. It sounds like it. It really does. It really does. It's could be an honor, to know that your community looks up to you so much, to send you to 24 countries, multiple places here nationally. I mean, people from different registries know who Papa Pitts is.
Oh, but like I said, I did a big show for what is CKC? I think it's the Canadian Kennel Club. That was there. Been there twice, and I've always been received with open arms, man. So I mean, like I'm just like I said, I can't say I'm enough that how blessed I am.
nice. So now that we touched Ron Ramos as a judge, and what people what not a lot everybody knows is you're a breeder, and you're a breeder of very high quality bullies. I know this because I got a tons of pictures last time we were talking, and I couldn't keep my eyes off that pup with the nice rear end. Uh,
Yeah, little try, yeah.
so as a breeder, I know we were talking, and now I want to talk about your studs. Um, and you do have somewhat of a bloodline happening here with three generations of studs in your yard. So I want to touch with first the big eyed Malky. Uh,
Maki, yeah,
yeah,
Maki's amazing, man. Uh, I'm the guy that I've dubbed the term extremely clean. I've said that for years. A lot of people follow me and they ask how I do my breedings, and I've always said extremely clean. And you could ask anybody from the old world that knows me from the very beginning, they'll know that that was the saying that I brought up. It was extremely clean. So when I produced Maki, I took a dog by the name of Young Money, and we bred him to a very terrier dog named Tivana, and that literally was pretty phenomenal, man. And Maki, to this day, I have him in my house still. He's a beautiful chocolate, man. Amazing boy. He's a standard sized dog, and his conformation is on point. He's got great drive. Um, he's a big, heavy chocolate and real pretty. And he's one of those dogs, like I said, that was an extreme breeding to a clean. I like taking extreme males to clean bitches, and that's what we got him. And we got Soldier's mother, which is one of the other studs. You know, it was that litter was like, it was pretty phenomenal. There was another girl that went to Southern California, and I can't remember what the name of the guy it was. She was a black and white girl, and he was showing for a while, and then he stepped out from the dog. I can't remember his name now.
Is that the black and white dog that's at the beach, I think, and there's a man in like right behind her. You can see her. You can see this beautiful black and white dog from Mark that's on the beach.
Oh God, I don't remember. He's from Southern California. If I hear his name, I'll know it right away. But you know, he actually does like he's into race cars, drag cars, and he got the dog. And the dog is part of that litter. And she was black, just amazing bitch, man. I mean, just beautiful, man. There's been times where, you know, some believe it or not, I will sell my pick dog because, you know, I told you before, I don't show dogs anymore. So it's one of those things where I'll be wasting a beautiful dog in my backyard. Nobody gets to see it. So I will send out a lot of times my top picks so people can have these dogs and so you can see what I do. But Maki is an amazing dog, man. I love the guy. And he's the producer of one of my other studs, Boom Boom. And Maki, you know, I got pictures of Maki, videos of Maki where no hands, nothing. You know, he'll step into a stack by himself. I mean, you know, just in the yard, not even touching the dog. I mean, that's how his conformation is beautiful, man. And again, like I says, a lot of times when you get dogs that are really conformationally correct, it's hard to see their bulliness because people are expecting a dog to be all wrinkled and sloppy. So when you get a really clean, correct bully, it kind of takes away from that look until you see them in person. Right. You know, when people come to my yard and see the dog in person, they're like, wow, I didn't think he was that big. You know, and again, like I said, the dog, it's like an optical illusion.
Right. Actually, you were the man who told me one time about a very well-proportioned bully looks like a big bulldog. I mean, a big pit bull.
That's right. He's like a big pit bull, but the only thing is that the features will be exaggerated.
Yeah. And then a dog that has an over-exaggerated head or anything is really out of proportion.
Sometimes, yes. It depends on the rest of the body, right?
Yeah, I've ever since I've heard that rule of thumb, I've you know, it's just one of these things that stick out at shows. I mean, I'm like, look, that's it. And I always have my son next to me. I'm telling him, you know, Ramos told me, look at that dog right there. That's a very well-proportioned dog. So,
thank you, man.
Hey, yeah.
You know, it's so funny you mention. I got to tell you some. There's an article that I tell people to read so they understand retype, and it's called "The Judge's Rule of Five" by your Honorable Judge Beauchamp, and he's passed away. But he wrote an article. It's called "Judge's Rule of Five," and it's an amazing little article to read. The other thing I was going to tell you was so funny is that until you start showing dogs, to you every dog is the same. You don't really understand dogs. Right. But the minute you start showing dogs, the poor stray dog at the liquor store is not even safe from your eyes critiquing him. You know, it could be a month. Oh man, look at the turn of the sidewall. Look at his top line. Look at his, look at his feet. You know? And no dog is safe after that. It could be like I said, it could be the lazy mutt in front of the liquor store, and you're already critiquing the damn dog. You know what I'm saying. You probably done it many times yourself.
Oh yeah, I look at always look at rear ends. You know, oh that dog doesn't have a good rear end, and so you know, Robert on his interview made a good point. You know, sometimes you look at the mutt out on the streets. They'll be the most, you know, their confirmation would be on point. You know?
And this is where that article, Judge Rule of Five, talks about that. See, it talks. This is a great article. I probably gave it to Rob to read, but the article talks about, you know, just because your dog is pure pedigree, that doesn't mean he's got great structure. You know, like I said, sometimes the mutt at the liquor store is going to have a better, you know, structure than what your dog in your yard has. You know, and there's so much validity to it. There's a lot of truth to that.
Nice. So going back to your studs, so you have Maki. Maki is the littermate to Soldier's mother.
Yes.
And you took Soldier to, was it a Soldier daughter? I believe.
No, I took
Maki to a daughter made Pom Pom.
Right. I mean, I took Maki to his niece, his mother's daughter, and we created Pom Pom. And Pom Pom is one of those dogs that in pictures, he doesn't look nothing like he looks in real, real life in person. He is an amazing animal. He's got heavy bone. He's very correct. He's got a lot of drive. I mean, I love the guy, man. He's something special, man. And that's how we got Boom Boom. We took Maki to Soldier's sister, and that litter, a lot of them went overseas, and one of them went to a show home in the Philippines, and she destroyed the Philippines as far as a female. She just won everything. She went into the ring with him, and she did really well. But that was a real nice breeding too. Like I said, that was one of those breedings that were really nice. And I'll be the first to say that when you have breedings, not every dog is going to be a home run. Right. You're going to have, what people understand about breedings is even if you do all the paperwork and there's study pedigrees and videos and photos, at best it's an educated guess. You're guessing of what these dogs are supposed to turn out with the aid of the information you receive. There is no guarantee, but it is helpful that you understand what's behind the dogs and move forward with the breedings.
Right. Nice. So, going forward now, I did have a section I wanted to talk about your past studs. Should have done it before we talked about the studs you have constantly on your yard. But talking about your yard, I wanted to talk about that. You told me that you have a setup, right? You have dogs. They actually got dens.
Yes.
And how has putting a den? Would you recommend it to anybody setting up a kennel?
It depends on how hot it gets. And for example, if you're in Arizona, it's extreme heat. You're talking 115, 118. It gets really hot out there. Right? But for the most part, I really recommend it because it's actually worked out very good. And when people come to my yard and they see this kennel setup, they're like blown away. I don't got nothing fancy. I don't have a fancy. I don't got like air conditioning indoors and some mat and all that. I'm a poor breeder. But the way I got my setup is inside the kennels. We dug out dens. They're about 3 feet by 3 feet square, and they go down about 2.5 feet. And 3 sides are lined with block light, or there's the board called Hardy board. It's like a cement, and in the cement, 3 walls are cemented basically. And every evening we come in, and when we clean and feed, it's usually during the night. And in the evenings, what we'll do is we'll get in there and we will soak the holes in the ground, those dens. And if you come to my house in the middle of the day, you will think there's not a dog in the house, not a single dog in the kennels. That's because they're all underground and they're staying cool. All my bullies live outside, and I'm talking about heavy bullies, and I'm not concerned about them dying of heat exhaustion because of the way we care for them. The other thing we do is we cut back on feed during the summertime, and we feed late at night, because the other thing people don't realize is when you feed your dogs in the middle of the day, that it takes a lot of blood flowing to the stomach to break down the nutrition and absorb it. So we feed at night, so when they're cooled down and they're resting, it gives that food an opportunity, that blood to circulate and break down the food and go into their systems. So we're very careful about what we do during the summertime. But the setup it's worked out fantastic for me, man. It's one of those things where, again, my dogs, it's been 110 degrees and they stay outside. They're outside in their dens. And on top of the den, we make it's like a little platform. Basically, it's like a pallet on there, but it's a platform, and the dog houses sit on top of those. And so when summertime comes, they go underneath the ground. They go underground, and they're cool. Now, wintertime, we fill the dog houses with straw. And the straw is actually a great insulator, and it also convects heat. The straw is hollow, and once it warms up, that heat stays in that shaft, and it's constantly moving and convects heat. So it worked out really well for us. We haven't had any issues with dogs being too cold or too hot, but we watch them as well. So if there's any kind of situation where we feel it's too cold or too hot, then they come inside. But for the most part, they're very well acclimated. So that's the other thing is, if you want to do this for your dogs, make sure you acclimate them. It's very important you do this. But if you're going to be a first timer at doing this, and your dogs are already adult dogs and never been out there, I would have watched them very carefully. See how they're holding up in the heat or in the wintertime. But like I says, my dogs have all been acclimated to the heat and the cold winters. So it's not. I'm just not throwing them out there like that. And these guys have all raised that way from very young, so that their systems are used to it. It's one of the things that I wouldn't tell somebody to do this if a dog's 43 years old and he's never been outside and AC, because it's going to be, he may not survive. And I'll give an example. One time I witnessed a dog. It was at the Lights Out show in Bakersfield. Donna and Frankie, they used to host a fantastic show, man. So they brought a dog, a beautiful female, man. They brought her from the Bay Area. And that's only a 3-hour drive over the mountains. And everything's, well, it should be okay. They got her off the car and she died within 10 minutes, man, from the heat. Yeah, because, the Bay Area does not get nowhere near the heat of the valley. And people don't realize even a 5-degree difference in temperatures is a strain on the dog, especially on the hot side. If it's heat, it's really detrimental. It could be, it could be fatal, literally. So if your dogs are not used to that, they're going to be in trouble. So that's what I'm saying. If you're going to do something like this, you have to acclimate the dog into that so that they understand that, their bodies will get accustomed to that. But I love my stuff the way it is. I wish I had a little bit more fancier stuff in there, but it works great. And the other thing I do is I use all lick spouts. There's no buckets of water. I finally decided to use lick spouts because I got tired of cleaning the buckets, the algae out of the buckets every day and stuff. So we put lick spouts on, and that was the easy thing for those dogs to learn how to use. So all my kennels have lick spouts, and the easy way to train the dog for lick spout is just put peanut butter on the lick spout, but also have a bucket of water in there until he understands, he learns how to drink that water and thing. And he will eventually go to the lick spout because he wants fresh water. Trust me, your dogs don't like having no water. They would prefer a fresh bowl of water versus a water that's in there the whole day. And the lick spouts work fantastic, man.
Because over here, it gets tremendously hot out here, and but every day I'm cleaning out algae, cleaning out a lot of algae, and it's because it's really humid and hot out here. But when you told me when you were explaining about your kennels, you were telling me that you actually dug out dens for these dogs. I was like, wow, that is genius, because I started even telling my wife, now I want to move the kennels over to the grass so I can dig downward instead of putting them on concrete.
Yeah, and the other thing about the beauty of having them on, like, I have dirt inside there, and like it's all they're dirty. Well, so guess what? Dogs in the wild, that's all they live in dirt. And you get a lot of people that are like sensitive, and they don't hold your dog shouldn't be in dirt and all that. That's how they are in the wild. But again, like I said, it works out well. And one of the benefits of that is that I don't got a lot of calluses on my dogs from the concrete because their bodies, the dirt is a little softer on them and it gives a little bit more. And your dogs will start to dig, and they'll dig up the dirt to make a soft spot. You ever watch a dog and dig? Oh, he's gonna dig up that dirt a little bit, so it makes it a little more cushiony. So that's one of the other benefits of having it like that. That I don't get calluses on the elbows or on the hocks. It works out really well. The only thing I have to worry about, believe it or not, and I would like to understand what causes it, but I have to worry about hot spots once in a while. And I think that's more of a food issue. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, though, like I said, I love the way to set up for the dogs. I don't really worry about them. And that doesn't mean I don't go check on them. And when it gets hot, man, I'm diligent, man. These dogs are worth a lot of money to me. So I go out there and I watch them in the summertime, especially when it gets super, super hot. But the thing is, though, when we go out there, we check on them real briefly because, dogs are curious animals. If you go out there and the peak heat, and you go out there and look at the dog, and he's going to come out,
right,
and he's going to heat up. So one of the rules in my place is that we know the dogs are fine. We know that they're acting. So one of the things is nobody goes out during the peak heat. And I got a big, beautiful backyard, but nobody goes back there, because we don't want them to get excited, come out of the dens and overheat. So and then we don't feed. They got lights in the kennels, but we don't feed until like sometimes like 9 o'clock at night, because that's at 9 o'clock where I'm at. It's still 100 degrees. I'm saying,
Yeah.
So that's when we go out and that's when we start to clean and feed and take care of the animals. I'm saying, but I love the setup, man. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. And people that come over and seen it, they're like blown away, like, oh wow, I never thought about doing like that. You know? But you think about it. What do the dogs in the wild do when they eat? They go to ground. So it's worked out perfect for me. And as far as I know, I'm probably the only guy that had that set up for years, and until a lot of people started coming over and started seeing like, oh, wow, I'm gonna do this. But nobody knew about it for years until, like I said, tell people. As a matter of fact, I should shoot a video on it and show people how it's done. But I swear to you, man, people are blown away. They said, we would have never thought, and it works so great, man.
Nice. So I got a couple questions from some of these viewers that I need to ask you. And one is, how do you pick?
You broke up a little bit.
So a lot of these guys want me to ask you questions, right?
Right.
Want me to ask Papa Pitch a question, and one of the questions is, how does Ron Ramos pick his keeper in a litter?
Well, something. First of all, that comes with years of experience of looking at puppies. And one of the key things I will tell you guys out there that are into purchasing puppies, if you're first time buyers, is take your time, man. Don't rush, because the first fat fluffy puppy you see, you want to buy them, and that money is burning a hole in your pocket. Be patient a little bit, man. What I would recommend is, read up on for example, if you want to get an exotic, right, read up or do some research on what a good exotic is supposed to look like. And also research good breeders, and when I say good breeders, and I don't want to offend anybody, but sometimes the most popular guy is not the best breeder. And I don't mean, he may have nice dogs, don't get me wrong, but ethically, he may think like, I don't need you, I don't give a shit, man, this is what I want. And sometimes the little guys will have just as nice dogs, and they got better customer service. So don't get caught up chasing the guy with the most famous guy out there, because sometimes those guys, they get drunk with notoriety. They it's the point where they think they're above everybody, and they actually don't have respect for the customer. And I believe in my kennels that my number one thing of all things is customer service. And this is why I've been so blessed with so many repeat customers, because I take care of them. I don't sell a dog in despair. I tell them I come with a deal. You have questions for health, feeding, caring. When the dog comes ready to breathe, I want to be here. I'm a phone call away from you. Right? So I'm a firm believer in customer service. So as far as picking a dog, I would highly recommend people to look at as many litters as possible. Even if you're not buying, just go say, hey, I'm going to go see the litter. Because you start to develop an eye of what a nice puppy is supposed to look like. Instead of just seeing the first litter you ever seen, then you go out and buy a dog, and you don't know what you're going to get. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So, and also understanding pedigrees, looking at not just the pedigrees, but you want to see actual visual. You want to see pictures of mama, papa, grandpa, grandma, because you may see a puppy that's like a freak, but everything behind them is little stick figures. So that means that genetically, he's not going to carry that size behind him, because everything behind him is, little gamey dogs. So, you want to see a little bit of a history behind them of bully dogs, and again, like I said, look at as many litters possible to start developing an eye. And I'm not talking about just looking at the puppies, look at the parents and look at the puppies, go see a lot of litters. The other thing, I think it might be on YouTube, but when I started, it was like a DVD. It came out in like VHS, and then I got DVD. So people don't even know what a VHS is right now. Probably they think, what the hell is that? But it's a educational video made by Pat Hastings, and it's called The Puppy Puzzle. And it's actually a very good precursor to understanding how to select animals, what to look at, how to look at their heads, how to look at their top lines, their feet. I watched that video multiple times just so I could ingrain it in what I was looking at. And again, it's by Pat Hastings, and it's called The Puppy Puzzle. It's a real good tool. I mean, it's with the AMP staff, you know what I'm saying? But the thing is, though, basically dogs are dogs. The only difference is you have to understand the written standards because they all change slightly. So, this dog, for example, an AMP staff may be a leaner type of dog, but the structure is going to be the same. So it's one of those things where do as much homework as possible before you start going out and buying dogs. And the way I select my dogs, again, is with all the knowledge that I've gained throughout the years of seeing so many dogs, I have developed I'm not saying the perfect eye, but I've got a pretty good eye when I can see a puppy, and to see the results of what it's going to be like. But again, even at that, there's going to be a lot of hit and miss. We want to be God, but we only pretend to be. We cannot predict what the animal is going to do, like at the finish of the, by the time he fully matures. So, but these are aids that will help you a lot, man.
Nice. That's a lot of you pretty much gave a lot of people homework.
Yeah, it helps. I mean, you're going to be spending good money, so
yeah.
You want to do as much homework as you can. If you're going to spend that kind of money for a dog, you better do your homework, man. It's very important. It's only going to benefit you.
Right. No, I agree with that. This is a dog breed that people spend $1,000. Yeah, I mean thousands of dollars easily.
Yeah, easily.
So no, I totally agree with what you're saying. Now, another question, and this is one from a judge, a WBA judge, Mr. George Luna, told me for every judge that goes on your show, ask him this question. And the question is, structure or type?
Something, Mr. Luna, me and Mr. Luna go back, way back. In fact, he's one of the gentlemen that I said, you need to come back to the community. I searched him out. He disappeared on us for a while. And I searched George, and I found him, and I said, George, you need to come back, man. And now he's the director judge of the WBA. But he went to obscurity for a while, and I told him, George, you got to come back, brother. And to answer your question, they have to go hand in hand. It's not one above the other. They have to go hand in hand. You need breed type, but you also need structure. So it's a balance and a marriage. So you have to have both to have the complete animal. So I want to give you an example of breed type, so you understand. If I were to go to a show and it's a Rottweiler show, okay? And I walk in the ring with a Doberman. Don't crop his ears. Take him into the ring. He's got the same color, the same tan points, identical. But he's a Rottweiler. No, he lacks substance and size.
Right.
He may move gracefully. He'll have better turn of the stifle. He'll look like he's floating. But guess what? He's not a Rottweiler. So this is where some people have a problem, and when they understand the breed, as far as the American Bullies, they're so obsessed with structure that they're missing breed type. And this is why I say it's a balance, it's a marriage, and you have to have both to have the complete animal. Like I said, some people get obsessed with the point of structure, and I understand that. But but that's what separates breeds. You cannot look at a dog and distinguish what he is immediately, then he's lacking breed type. So when you see a dog and you look at him and say, well, that's an American Bully. But if you look at him and he's a pit bullish and you say, well, that's an American Bully, you really don't understand breed type.
Right.
And this is where, again, referring back to, the Honorable Beauchamp article, Judges Rule of 5, he explains a lot of stuff. And this is one of the articles that I really press judges to read because he's very good at what he says. And it's one of those articles that I go back and I read and I read and I read because, you learn something from it every time you read on it. But, but to George's question, it's a great question. Don't get me wrong. Breed type, if you were to put them on a like one above the other, yes, it's going to be breed type. But right behind that is going to be structure and health. So it's one of those things that there's only a hair separating them, you know what I'm saying? So because they're both very important to identify the dog, you know, and to also have a healthy dog. So they both go hand in hand.
Okay. And one more question I have. Would you ever put in a dog that lacks confidence into a showroom?
Man, that's like a cardinal sin, man. You know, I've seen people throw dogs in there, and they're very skittish or scared of it. And what people don't understand, if they study the standards, one of the major faults in the breed is a lack of confidence. You don't want a shy dog, and you don't want an aggressive dog. And the reason being, a shy dog is going to be a fear biter.
Yep.
You know, so you can have dogs that are fearful, and you may end up at a show. You know, some kid may run up to look at the dog and gonna get bit or something. And I've seen many judges dodge a bullet from a shy dog. And once you start going over them, they get big eyes and scary. And you can see it. You'll learn how to read dogs as a judge, and you learn how to read their body language. And it's very important that you don't bring shy dogs. And the other thing is, if you look at working dog people, the guys that do like the bite work for police and stuff, man, they run the opposite direction fast and as far as they can from shy dogs. Because it's what people don't understand about shy dogs. I don't give a damn how pretty he is. It's a genetic trait that's going to be passed down. So if you have a shy dog and you breed them, guess what? You're going to get shy dogs, man. It's just like it's just like bad structure. You know, it's mental health, man. It's very important that you understand that. You know, it's something that can be passed down. So it's one of those things that is a trait that can be passed down generation to generation. So don't breed to it. Stay away from it, man.
So you would never breed a shy dog?
I will not breed a shy dog, especially an extreme shy dog. There's some dogs that are a little bit reluctant. You know, that's different versus a very shy dog. The shy dog, again, I would not breed a shy dog. You know, I don't even know I would even trust to put it in a home. I would have to do a real serious search to find somebody that understands dog to take a dog like that, because again, it could become a fear biter. You know, and there's no fun in a dog like that. You know, you think about it. Would you want a dog? You wouldn't even go outside. You know, you can't take him in the backyard and throw a ball at him, or you're drinking a beer or something. And it's just one of those things. It's not going to work. Right? So, and again, it's something that it will most definitely go through generations. So I would not breed to an extremely shy dog.
I totally agree with you. I've had, and my wife, I've telling you before, but so rabid. She would always tell me, "Don't breed that dog. Don't show that dog." And she was right. She was right.
Yeah, you know, I'll tell you what, I'll give you an example of a dog I had, and I'll tell you how stuff can be imprinted deep in a dog, right? Shyness can be imprinted in a dog really deep. And so can other traits. Like if you see like real true working dogs, the way they're bred, some of them, it's so imprinted in them, they've been bred to the best dogs as possible that it becomes second nature. I'll give you an example. I had a dog called Shadow. Beautiful. I mean, amazing girl. Just a beautiful jet black girl. Right? She came off of a dog generations back by a dog called Going Like Barney. And Going Like Barney is in all the Richard Stratton books and all the game dog books. This guy was deadly. You know, one of the best fighting dogs out there. He's in the history books. Well, she came off of that line. And I had to watch her because she was very stealth. I mean, a real game dog is not going to bark, growl. They're like straight to the bite, man. There's no joking around, nothing. You let that dog loose, and he's going to go straight to the bite. You know, they're not. If you have a dog that's loud, barking, and crying, he's a scared dog. But a real confident dog, man, this girl, I could not leave her out by herself because, I mean, if anything on four legs, no noise, and I'd go out there and she'd have it by the neck, by the throat. Yeah. So and so were her offspring. Her offspring were the same way, man. But they were just stunning dogs, man. But they were very dangerous. And when I was breeding pit bulls and stuff, I would tell people when they come to buy dogs, what's your experience? Because I felt like I told them, it's like selling them an exotic cat, because if you don't understand these animals, you don't deserve to. That I should say, you didn't deserve. It's some things where you shouldn't have the dog until you have experience behind you. You know,
Yeah.
because if you don't have that experience, you're gonna get into some trouble, man.
No, I know exactly what you mean. I had one of my first bullies had a bunch of dogs that were game dogs, and they bred Heartbreaker to a game dog.
Oh wow.
And I, and that was the grandsires of my dog. And it was, it was the most coolest dog around me. But when people came over or animals would pass the yard,
You
oh my
lose
God, it
mind.
was scary. And
Yeah.
you're talking a bully. You're talking 80 pounds worth of muscle. That's pure game. It was scary. Very
Well,
scary.
I don't know if do you know Oscar, not Oscar, Oliver De La Cruz?
No.
See, he's an OG, man. He goes way back, right, in the bully world, right? And super awesome guy, man. I mean, he's one of those guys that I have nothing but admiration and respect for. Well, he had a dog named Chevelle. And
Okay.
Chevelle, you want to talk about an XL, this dog had to be 150 pounds, man. And I'm talking about, and he had this dog, it wasn't in the kennel, it looked like something out of the zoo, man. This thing had like steel bars on it. And this dog was like scary me, man. And he was a weight pool champion, but man, you could not get that guy near anything, man. Because he would he'd want to eat you. And, and 150 pound dog, that's a lot of power, man. But man, oh my, he was just beautiful dog though, man. But he was a scary animal, So again, like I said, it's one of the things where, again, you breeding that they took Heartbreaker to a game dog, that's the results. And Heartbreaker was a beautiful dog, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Heartbreaker actually came from around here locally.
Really?
So,
Okay.
yeah, it was a bunch of high school buddies.
Yeah.
One had Heartbreaker, and back then, I mean, game pit bulls we're talking, early '90s, late '80s. They were big back here. They were big, and when the bully movement was barely happening.
Right.
And then you have these game dogs in their pedigrees, and geez, those are scary dogs.
I know. Like I said, I had some real serious game dogs. Like I said, I had that one girl Shadow. I had a boy, we called him Bull, but he was 100% Jeep. And if I were to break that dog out, I told you earlier, if I were to break that dog out, people say, "What kind of dog is that?" Because he was 35 pounds, but it was like 35 pounds of lightning. You know what I'm saying? Because
Right.
that guy would, I don't give a damn how big your dog was. This guy would be like Edward Scissorhands. It'd be done. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then I had another one. Came off of the old Crenshaw cotton bullet lines, and these are old fighting dog lines. But that dog. It was hilarious because he looked like a bully, And the game guys, they didn't like dogs that size, but they didn't have the stamina or the wind.
Oh, yeah.
But this guy was bully as hell, and I love the dog, man. He was gorgeous, man.
Yeah. No,
He kind of reminded. He was like a heartbreaker. You know what I'm saying? Game dog, but a stout, short little dog like that. You know.
A lot of people don't understand when it comes to dogs. There's 35 little dogs with a lot
of driving power, man. 30. It's it's like putting a leash on a chainsaw, man. They'll jack you up, man, if you're not careful.
Yeah. So if you guys ever had I'm talking to the audience here, a game dog or ever experienced game dogs, there can be some scary stuff.
Oh, for real, man.
They make bullies. I'll tell you that. Wow. Mr. Ramos, we passed our time, and we could keep on going for another hour, but we did pass the hour mark. So I want to say thank you. I'm very, very honored that you took this interview. And
oh man, AJ, I'm gonna say something, man. I'm gonna thank you as well for inviting me. The culture is moving really fast, so a lot of people don't even know who I am anymore because it's evolving so quick. But I want to thank you so much for allowing me to come in here and give me the opportunity to be a part of your little podcast. So I'm very grateful to you. So I really appreciate you.
Right on.
Keep following them, you guys. These are the kind of programs you want to see. This is the content is good, it's positive, a lot of educational stuff. So these are the kind of lives you want to see. You don't want to be in these lives where people are yelling and screaming at each other. There's no education there, man. So I like this thing. So, and we got to get the numbers up on these because when there's drama, there's like 100 people. But when there's good education stuff, we're lucky to get half a dozen people to 12 people, and that's a shame because you guys are chasing the wrong stuff, man.
Right. We got to do this for the love of the breed, guys.
Yeah, that's right.
For on my Instagram page, I have it. First thing it says is contribute to the breed. So if you ain't here to contribute to the breed, then you're wasting. You're just spinning your wheels. You're wasting.
Right.
So, Mr. Ramos, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you, man. Hopefully, we'll see each other in the ring someplace out there. You guys ever see me in the ring? Don't ever hesitate to come up, ask me questions. I live for that. I love that. If you ever see me in a show someplace, by all means, come up to me, say hello, and we'll talk dogs.
Right on. Right on,
Peace,
Mr. Ramos.
and we'll see you in the showroom.
Yeah, we'll talk soon. Thank you.
Bye.